Radiant Black live stream for Radiant Black issue 31. I'm your host and series editor, Michael Busuttil. I'm joined this month by series co creator and co writer, Kyle Higgins, and series guest artist, Eduardo Ferigato. Say hi, guys.
Hey
How's it
guys.
going?
Good. So, this is a new thing we're doing. It's a new thing we're trying. Kyle, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing here?
Yeah, so I talked about this a little bit in the newsletter today, but basically, the way that we all first met, Michael, you, me, and Matt Groom, was thanks to your still running Fantastic Ranger Danger podcast. When I was doing the comic books, we all talked and thought it would be fun to do an ongoing feature where once a month we would do an episode that looked at that month's release of the book and talk through it, a cross between a director's commentary and like a chill night with friends hanging out. And we kind of never really did that with the Massiverse. We've tried a few times. We did, big shout out to Megan Camarina, who is kind enough to host us for the first couple issues of Radiant Black to do kind of like a discussion on each issue. But we were still, I think, figuring out what exactly this, our preferred version of this might look like. So we think we've kind of got an idea here. And now that we're back with the rebuild era and we're, on time, we're on schedule, we're back monthly now. We're doing a lot more from a general awareness standpoint with, different trailers and promos and things like that we'll talk a little bit about tonight. But something like this is that aspect of kind of like community building and I don't know, deep dive stuff that talk of craft and everything that I've always loved. And I think all of us have. That's why we did the podcast all those years. So this will be a new thing we do. We're trying to do all of the episodes like the Monday after the issue comes out. I don't know that we'll always hit that, but we're gonna take a look at issue 31 of Radiant Black. We'll talk about some of the decisions behind the scenes on certain things, where certain jokes came from, and then we've got an early look at issue 32 for everybody tonight. So we'll be able to show some preview pages of that, and talk about again some of the other plans coming up in the future of the book and the Massiverse.
Yeah, so we should say we are going to be talking about Radiant Black 31, which is came out last week. It's the first issue of our new rebuild era. If you are here and you haven't read it, probably turn this off. Go read it. It's probably pretty late, but go pick up a copy tomorrow from your local comic book shop. And then this will be up. We'll put this out later. It'll stay on YouTube and we'll put it out in all sorts of other places as well. Because we're going to talk about the whole thing. There will be spoilers.
Totally.
All right. And with that, I guess I would like to start by just talking about the rebuild era, issue 31, coming out of the Catalyst War. How did we get to where we are now?
Well, we're going to play around with different layouts here as well as we do this tonight. So, how did we get here? I think that Michael, to would it be fair to say that most of the first 3 years we've had in place for quite some time, at least the big moves of everything.
Yeah, the big swings we talked about a long way in advance. I think we've known for quite a while at least that we were like building towards this big cosmic, event that would probably be six-ish issues, would probably come at about this point in the series, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So, in my mind, the first 3 years of the book are kind of one big initial kind of I guess story. They're kind of one big mega arc unto themselves, and a lot of that can be um, you can see that kind of structure when you think of it and look at the story through the eyes of where the permanent Radiant Black is going to come from. And so from the jump, our idea of Nathan getting these powers, but this book really being this kind of two-hander between these two disillusioned millennial best friends, like that was always that was the plan from the jump. But by the end of this first, you know, roller coaster that culminates with the Catalyst War, it also felt like, from very early on, it's like, okay, that's where the book is going to end up started kicking off what's next. And we will have, thanks to the vote, like our firm Radiant Black in place. And now this really is kind of a whole new era for not only the character, but for the title, from a publishing standpoint, from trying to create a really easy access point for maybe old lapsed readers, maybe readers who have heard about the title but haven't been able to find issue one or jump on with volume one. You know, jumping on points are a thing in comics. This now more than ever, we feel like it's incredibly important, especially as our books get up into the issue number 30s now, to very, I guess, like discernibly create these jumping on points in the beginnings of new eras so that we can maintain things being as accessible as possible. So, I guess with all that said, our approach to issue 31, I mean, you can see it even down to the first splash page of the issue. It is very much modeled in the style of an issue one. And in particular, there are some parallels to our own Radiant Black issue number one here.
Yeah, so we'll get to all of that for sure. There's two things that I'd like to talk about coming out of that. Number one, let's start here because it'll let him say some stuff. Eduardo is an artist who has been with us since issue five, one of those for sure
Five.
of Radiant
Five,
Black.
yeah, five was the
Five,
first.
yeah. You first stepped in. Marcelo royally screwed his hand up during that first arc. Like it was, I saw pictures. It was not good.
Yeah,
And you stepped in to help us out there. And now you drew half of the Catalyst War. You drew one entire timeline. And now you're with us for this whole arc. What's it been like coming on board to do like a full chunk of a story?
it's been fun, and I feel that I've I don't know if it was luck or not, but I always managed to get the Marshall moments, the Marshall breakthroughs or when Marshall pick up the radian, or so it's cool to be able to take care of this first arc with Marshall as Radiant Black. Uh, Definitely this time, right? I like Marshall. Everybody already must already know that by now, but uh, it's been a lot of fun. It's fun to work with Joe and Kyle on the scripts and switching ideas between us and see what works and what's not, and trying to push as many jokes as I can. Uh, so it's fun. I really like it.
Great. I'm very happy to hear that because we love having you on the book. Kyle, I'd like to talk a little bit, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but I'd just love to talk about something that you and I haven't talked a lot publicly about yet, which is we went back and forth on what this arc would look like for a long time. Like we did there were a lot of versions, and we did a lot of talking before we settled on the version that it currently is.
Yeah, that is very true. I also saw some comments that my mic is low, which I'm trying to figure that out right now. It shouldn't be. Everything's at maximum volume here. I can turn my gain up more, but it's pretty high. Anyway, I hope that's a little bit better. Um, we did talk about this for a long time. That's actually kind of one of my favorite parts of making this book is that between myself, now Joe Clark, even Ryan Sidoti behind the scenes, like I get to talk through the story direction and all the different, possibilities in pretty kind of intricate detail as we work to find, well, what's the best permutation of not only the idea but the larger story. So that's it's I think, I mean, we where we landed, I'm really excited about. But yeah, it was a process. It started before the end of the Catalyst War, but then certainly once we wrapped up issue 30 and 30.5, um, then it felt like we were really able to dive in earnest, and get all this all dialed in.
Yeah. And I mean, like, again, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but some stuff that we sort of like, pitched and just probably aren't going to do, and some stuff that we pitched that has gone on the back burner and that you might see in the next arc or the arc beyond, and, other stuff that maybe we will get to 100 issues from now. Like, some real trying some stuff and seeing what's stuck and getting to it.
Totally.
With that, I think we should probably just start talking about this issue, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the first page. I don't know when this happened. This happened sort of, just, this was decided on without me. When did you guys know that you wanted to start with a callback to the first page of the first issue, a shot of a phone with like an alert on it telling you a thing? Who made that decision?
I'm pretty sure that was something, we came up with that fairly early on in the actual scripting. I mean, I enjoy a good callback. Um, and Joe and I both are, we're romantics at heart to some extent. And I think like that very specific reference, I think it just carries a lot with it. And it felt like a really nice kind of like circular way of kicking things off here, and just I don't know, it's very, very poetic in that it's a bit of a motif for us as we launch into what we keep describing as a new era.
Yeah. And speaking of, so from there, Marshall goes out, he transforms, he heads into the city. It's a pretty slow opening, which I say not as like an insult, obviously. It's a book that we made together. But like, Marshall goes outside. Oh, there we go. We're bringing it up. He
Nice.
Yeah,
goes outside.
we won't show every page or anything,
Yeah.
but
He goes outside, he transforms, he heads into the city. There's two consecutive double page splashes. Is that something that you ever have concern about? Like, not kicking off the new era with Radiant Black fighting a fleet of like double alien spaceships in the middle of space?
um, I, I was okay with it. I think like I think the thing about coming out of a big event is that it's not even so much that you want to be, or that you run the risk of going from like the really really big to the really really small, and like, oh, is that going to be a whiplash, or is that going to be too jarring or shocking for people, not shocking but like too jarring for people. It's more like I felt like we have nice runway here to reestablish a status quo, and so much of while still maintaining like the large scope that we are about to continue, but in a very very different way from something like the cosmicness of the Catalyst War. Um, I think that so much of what has made this book really exciting and creatively rewarding to work on and to write has been those points of connectivity between the main character and their world, and I think our own as both creators and readers, and the world outside of our window aspect. And so I wanted to do the thing that most superhero comics tend to never have time to do, which is they tell a big event story, but then in order they have to get to the next story, and the next story is not ever dealing or usually dealing with like the aftermath of the event as its status quo, because there are other ideas that they want to get to. And I think that it's really really interesting to set stories in new status quos in those kind of gray areas of transition. And so creating this kind of slower opening where you're watching Marshall interact with the world, and we are seeing how the world has changed, just as he is, our pathway through it. I just felt like it kind of hit all the check mark. It checked all the boxes on like what I thought we needed to do here as we're really kind of kicking off this new beginning.
Absolutely. Eduardo, I mean, later in this issue and also in some upcoming issues that people haven't seen yet, there's lots of big action. There's plenty of like fun, exciting stuff to do. Do you prefer drawing, do you prefer drawing fights and explosions? Do you like little quiet conversations? What really makes you happiest when you see it in a script?
I think I like both. I love these moments where we follow Marshall while he is waking up and getting ready to go. I remember, I think it was issue 9, where we will show him smoking a joint or and having breakfast and then cursing some kids in the streets before fighting fighting supervillains. I think I like both moments. These more emotional moments and or intimacy moments, and the big fights are both really really fun. I really love when I I love when Kyle writes like 2 or 3 pages. He writes fight, 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 and then I can play around, and then we see if it works or not. I love these moments as well.
I don't want to spoil anything, but there's one of those coming up in a future issue that's not particularly far away where Eduardo has really just gone nuts. It's some fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I think it's
So,
my favorite. It's my favorite scene we've pulled off. Like, I think it works. Every panel works really well.
yeah. So, Kyle, I want to talk a little bit about the status quo coming out of the Catalyst War.
Hmm.
He's out of Lockport. He's living in
Yep.
Chicago proper, the city. Nathan is gone. He's back to LA. He's rooming with Eva. He doesn't seem to have a job yet, so how he's making money is a question that we will have to resolve at a later date. How much of this did you know you wanted to get to as we were wrapping up the event? And how much of it was, okay, let's work out where we are as we came into this new arc?
Um, I think it's a combination of both, honestly, because the where I want to get to is more about where I want to get the characters to. The mechanics of how we get them there or how they're going to get there is certainly malleable. Um, Once we firmed up what the status quo coming out of Catalyst War was, that was happening as we were firming up the decision on where we wanted everyone to get to by the end of this next arc, and then how that's going to lead into subsequent arcs. So, starting to make decisions on both fronts is what really helped us and allowed us to firm up our direction with the status quo here in these next couple issues, and what exactly it's going to be, and what our moves through it are. So it really was kind of like a two-pronged, I guess, approach to it. Um, and I think as we start to explore what these threats are, they make sense, especially as you learn. Some you can tell right away, and others you're going to learn later how the status quo has created them. Um, and I think that's where it starts to get, like I said, really, really exciting for us, to get to some of these next couple issues for everybody.
Yeah. So one of the sort of I don't that we haven't seen yet is Marshall trying out having a romantic life. He goes on a date here that he thinks goes well and sort of maybe didn't go quite as well as he'd hoped, possibly because of that whole speech he did about how people need him, even though she thinks he just works at a video store. Why was this a part of the direction for Marshall in this arc?
Um, Sorry, I was messaging with Ryan. I feel like I missed part of that.
Why romance for Marshall this arc?
Well, it's
Or at
not
least
something
an
we've
attempt
really
at romance, I
an
guess.
attempt at romance. Well, like I said, reflect the world outside our window. I think that it's for a couple of reasons. One, we haven't really explored this side of Marshall's life to this point, but also exploring it now is it's a really interesting time for it, and it actually is a big part of what Marshall's larger character arc is here, and what he's so kind of focused on coming out of the Catalyst War, which is wanting to be a better person. And in some ways, you could reductively, you know, look at that as simply being growing up to some extent. And I think, like, while there is both personal growth that he is pursuing, as well as a more professional proficiency, I guess I would say, as Radiant Black, there's also the aspect of like trying to mature a bit. Something like, finding a partner, dating, like those are all components of being a little, I don't know, more advanced in your, or I guess just a little more mature. So it feels like an interesting time to dive into it, especially when you then also consider the state of modern dating and app-based dating. Um, I haven't seen a lot of superheroes in the swiping culture, but
That's because it's
we're gonna go
bad.
there.
That's why.
It's not positive. It's not positive.
Yeah, I would say would say that same thing. It's just really growing. He's growing with these experiences. Doesn't look like, you
What direction he's growing, that is up for debate,
Yes,
but he
whether
is
or not the
growing.
growth is healthy or
yeah.
good is, yeah. And I think I see one comment in the chat. Give Marshall a love interest. All I'm going to say is wait until next issue and see
Yeah.
how some more dates go,
And keep
before
in
you
mind,
decide if that would be good or not.
I know
yeah,
that
and
I'm
keep in
having a
mind
lot of fun doing it.
And keep in mind, as the late Patrice O'Neill once said, just because they're lovable doesn't make Marshall lovable.
Yeah, boy. Oh boy. There's yeah, we definitely are exploring that more as we go on, and I think you're going to see why perhaps it might not be the best for Marshall right now. He might just not be ready for it.
hmm
We come out of the date into a lots of oh no's in the chat. Yeah, correct. We come out of this date into a new threat, a new enemy, a new sort of setup going forward for this arc. I want before we talk about that character and who they might be and what they might have going on, the thing that he's done in this issue is probably the most like viscerally violent thing we've shown on panel. One
Yeah.
of one of two or three options, probably for sure. Did you have any hesitation, any qualms about like going there, doing this, that sort of thing?
No, I think we try to still keep things tasteful even when we're doing some stuff that's a little darker, a little more graphic. But I think as you learn more about this character, I think the severity will make a little more sense, and you'll start to understand how that actually, works with Jaeger himself. So
All right, so you've said the name, so let's talk about him. This is a great design by Marcelo Costa, series co-creator. He's designed all of the new characters that you're going to be seeing over the next couple of issues, and he will be back with the next arc. He's going to be returning as the artist. It's going to be cool. But let's. This is tricky because he appears on panel twice, and I do not want to say anything that will spoil anything. So, Kyle, what can you tell us about this guy that doesn't spoil anything?
ooh, that is a tricky question, isn't it? Here's one of his appearances.
Yep.
We'll show. This is the safe one, I believe.
So he's got a cool jacket. That's part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, it's stretched weird. It's stretched weird for you guys.
Yes, it's definitely
Yeah,
stretched
it's
weird. He is
stretched.
not that wide. The
He's not
image
that.
has stretched.
Yeah, he
Hold
gained a
on one
few
second.
pounds there.
What were you asking, Michael?
What can you say about this guy that will not spoil any of the upcoming issues?
Right. Well, his name is Jaeger,
Yep.
and he is both a bomber and well, what he is doing goes to a hunting background. I guess you could argue a modern hunting kind of methodology, and you know, Jaeger in German means hunter, and since he uses bombs, his name may or may not actually be the result of some message board people calling him the Jaeger bomber. Um, and that is probably absolutely actually the origin of the name, Jaeger in particular. So that's I think I ramped enough there or vamped enough there, Michael, without revealing anything. But Jaeger bomber is his origin goes beyond an Irish pub. That's all. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, certainly a mystery, a mysterious character that you will be learning more about as we move forward. After this bombing, we see Kieran again for the first time since the Catalyst War, and he fills us in on a situation involving a handful of refugees from an alternate timeline. Kyle, that's a plot that comes out of last year's Supermassive. And I'd love to talk about that because listeners will probably not know. Like, that's something we sort of invented for Supermassive, and it spun back into Radiant Black, right?
Yeah, pretty much. This was a plot thread that actually Matt introduced for the first time in Supermassive, and basically it was at the end, the tail end of the issue when the team had already rescued Cassia Costa, Infernal Girl Red. Um, Basically, once Cassia realized exactly what was happening and that this world was going to end, she was very forceful in the idea that they have to save as many people as they can. So they grabbed, I'd say about 40 people or so. Is probably the number they were able to get through the portal back to the timeline that ended up surviving, the Nathan centric timeline. Well, now something has happened, and Marshall, something has happened, and the world has found out a kernel of truth that is not for a full cob, but that has never stopped. That has never stopped the internet from making a meal out of something that maybe shouldn't be. And in this case, they've turned it into a feast. And that feast is of a conspiracy theory as to what exactly happened during the Catalyst War. That maybe there are more than one, there's two timelines, and maybe this is a different Radiant Black, which it actually technically is, from the one who fought in this world. And of those 40 some people who came over, where are they all now? How many of them are in witness protection? How many didn't want to go? And how many are out there maybe speaking where they shouldn't be, and potentially perpetuating this, this growing problem that is going to be popping up and mutating in pretty unique ways, as they basically take aim at Marshall and the new Radiant Black.
Yeah. So I would love to talk about this page. I have seen a lot of talk about this page, including on the website that this page is about. We should talk about this, Kyle. Joe wrote a lot of this, right?
He did, yeah.
So Joe wrote a lot of this in the script, and then what happened was I was putting these boxes on this page, and I sent Joe a message, and I was like, "Hey, Joe, I just want to sort of flood the page with messages. Could you write me like 3 or 4 more, just so I can, put some stuff behind other stuff and
Yeah.
really add some layers?" and Joe sent me back, I think, like 3 full Google Docs pages of these, and I picked like the tasteful ones.
Yeah, there were some that maybe are a little more accurate even to some of the trash you see on different websites these days. But um, some of it's funny too, but also in very poor taste. So it is a fun it's a fun conversation to have about which jokes are edgy enough without being into like turning this book has to get a whole new rating system for comic shelves
Yes,
territory.
Nubby in the comments says we have to see them all, and I need you to understand there is no place we can legally publish some of them.
No, no.
Some of them it would
Joe's,
actually cause legal hassle for us to put in a book somewhere.
Joe said that he was writing them in either on a notebook or on a laptop in the back of a rehearsal session, and every time he was like, I don't know, he was going up to the bandstand, the band leader's stand, maybe to adjust an arrangement or something. Every time he was walking up there, he was terrified that people were reading what he's writing. It's just some of the most vile things that you can think of.
Eduardo, did you ever imagine when we asked you to be the artist for this arc that you would have to draw Sabrina Carpenter and 2 different Radiant Blacks but with different colored lines on them?
No, I did
Yeah.
not. And
Fair.
also, Kieran looks bad, right? Kieran looks burned out.
Yeah, listen,
this
I'm
issue.
not saying
Yeah.
that we're drawing and writing him from experience. I'm not saying that that's what we all look like these days.
Looks like Earth after the Catalyst War, right?
Yeah.
I know how
It
he
looks like
feels.
us after it looks like us after the Catalyst War.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. All
Yeah,
right.
but I didn't imagine that, and it was fun doing it.
Oh, so I see in the chat here a really important question. And in particular, what they are referring to is this moment right here. Oops, sorry. Let me get that back. Can we all see this?
Yep.
Who would win Radiant Black or 900 Possums? So I did give an answer to this on either, I think on our YouTube comments today. Someone else was asking. The answer is that Radiant Black would he would win against 900, but 901 is where it becomes problematic, and he may have to go cape mode out of necessity because 901 possums is a very real number of possums.
I think people just aren't thinking about the psychological damage of killing 900 possums. You know?
And then it's the
Never
one
smell
more,
good
and you
again
got to
in
do it
his
one
life.
more time.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
could he physically do it? Yeah, he's got gravity powers, easy. But imagine the like 803rd possum coming at you. You're like,
Yeah.
again, if you're killing a possum a second, that's like 15 minutes of possum killing. That's so many possums.
Yeah.
And I mean, look,
And the
we
smell
are.
wouldn't be pleasant as well, right?
It depends on what you're into,
Yeah.
but for most of us, no.
I don't like that answer at all. I really do not like it. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Let's cut it out from the.
This guy might this guy might be into it. He might want to know 900 possums because it takes him 850 just to wake up in the morning.
I don't know what that means, and I hope never to find
Yeah.
out. Let's talk, Kyle. You talked a little earlier about this issue starting with a callback to the first issue, and it
Yeah.
also sort of ends with one in that Marshall delivers a big speech to someone else about like where he's at and what he wants and what he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about the shoe?
I think we can talk about the shoe. Yeah.
Before we do, I think I should show people this. It is my phone background.
Oh, it's Oh, actually, that was an important email. It's mine as well. I didn't want to hold it up with the emails I just got. Everyone's gonna get excited. I'm gonna have to tell them, no, no, no. Just that's things take time.
So tell us about the shoe. Where did this come from? How did you guys decide to put it in the issue? Eduardo, what was it like to draw? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, the idea of the shoe is really at the heart of a lot of what our take on Marshall right now is centered on. And that is, as I mentioned before, Marshall's um, pursuit here to become the type of Radiant Black that he thinks the world needs and that he wants to live up to, not only because of what Nathan has done or did during the Catalyst War, but also because Marshall saw the alternative of how poorly things went when he was Radiant Black in the other timeline. Um, we wanted to find something to kind of anchor a lot of this in, both as an idea but also a visual. And so, from an idea standpoint, most people do you ever wake up from like a really bad dream and you have that moment of realization where it's like, oh my god, none of that happened, and there's almost this sense of relief. Well, Marshall got that. He got that from some of these truly awful things that he did, and what's worse is that they weren't an actual dream; they actually did happen. And if he can comprehend that, it would drive him a little mad. And I don't want to say that it has, but it's something that eats away at him a bit, because now, especially like as we're exploring the world, the larger world, starting to get a sense of these very dark things that Marshall has been ashamed of and wanting to move past, he doesn't, because he doesn't really understand why. And he also doesn't understand how he could have done these things. When he was over there, his and Nathan's phones synced because they have the same SIM card, right? So they got all these messages from the other timelines version of themselves. And Marshall talks about at the end of this issue this phone screen he's had for all of these months. It's this photo of this kid's shoe. And he talks about not knowing where it came from, but it synced to his phone because his other self took a photo of it. And the not knowing, why would he take this? What is it for? There's no way you'd take that photo for anything good, right? The not knowing is part of what is the biggest insecurity that Marshall is going to have to find a way to overcome in this arc. And so this is kind of our visual manifestation or representation of that. Because I don't think it was for any good reason that he would have taken this photo. I think Marshall's right. But how much he'll learn of it and how much he'll be able to move past it is kind of another conversation.
Is
Eduardo,
there
where
a reality where the wallpaper of Marshall's phone is a dead possum?
stop it. You're
I mean,
not having an idea that's not anything. Don't. Sometimes Eduardo says things and I see Kyle reacting like, oh, is that an idea? And when that happens, it's my responsibility to jump in and say, no, that's
Go to
not
sleep,
anything.
Eduardo. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
you always send me
they did just
to
Stop
sleep.
it.
the Invincible account did just release all of these alt Invincibles and the casting announcement that Steven Yen is playing all of them. Did you see that, Michael?
Yes.
This could be our possum hunter, our
Yeah,
That's
possum
nothing.
hunter
and he's always
universe.
smelling bad,
Both
when
of
he
you are
enters
crazy. It is nothing.
people are, oh
Eduardo,
my God,
Kyle
he's
obviously
here.
talked about
Yeah.
the weight of this image and like the effect it has had on Marshall over these months and all of that. Do you feel any extra pressure drawing something like that as opposed to just a scene in the book, like an image that will come back and has to like mean something?
No, I think I just draw a shoe as you guys ask, so that's it.
Fair
And
enough.
it's a Harrison Ford answer. They just pay me to draw a shoe and I did it.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a
But
good
look what
drawing
you
of a
guys are
shoe.
doing.
Shoes are
People are
hard.
putting these as wallpapers too now.
Yes,
What
and
you
sorry,
guys
I
are
should mention
doing,
if you
you
would
know.
like to make it your phone wallpaper, go to the Black Market Narrative Twitter account. We've put it out for everyone. You can grab it there.
I'll make a version with a possum too now.
And he will by the
He
time we're
will.
A
off
He
the
pile of
fully
stage. He
will.
will.
possums. Yeah.
That will be on Twitter within the next 24 hours. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And with that, we come to the ending of the issue. We've got our new bad guy, and he's got
Mm-hmm.
a whole big wall full of photos. What's he up to, Kyle?
Well, I don't think it's anything great, probably, and I don't think it has anything to do with um, possums. So I think it's a fair bet to connect those to take those connected red strings to mean that he's looking for connections to the identity of Radiant Black, and I think things are only going to get a little bit more intense for Marshall as he gears up for round two.
Yeah. Eduardo, can you and I talk about the thing that you put on this page that I nearly emailed you and told you to remove?
Yes. We need to create an episode just for the things that Michael didn't let me put in on the issues, you know.
So what did you draw? Go on, admit to your crimes.
I draw Kathy,
So Kathy is
and she's in a big
Nathan's
panel.
godmother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She has
His
appeared.
aunt.
His
His aunt
aunt,
and
sorry,
godmother.
his
Yeah.
aunt and godmother. She has
She's
appeared. Has
both,
she
yeah.
appeared twice even, or is it just
Yeah.
once?
Just once.
I don't
Just
remember.
once.
It was something
It was
Kyle
issue
and
5.
I. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Kyle, in the script, Kyle asked that it was a relative that was asking about Nathan or something. Then I draw her, and then Kyle created her, and she became like I was telling Michael that she will be like that dumpster from Star Wars, you know, that is the most priceable collectible. There will be a Kathy action figure
Dumpster?
one day.
There'll be a
Yeah,
Kathy dumpster.
yeah. Do you know? You guys know about the dumpster, the Star Wars dumpster?
No, I have
Yeah.
no idea what you're talking about.
There's a robot and that appears in Star Wars. I don't know if it's in the movies or something. That he it appears like for 2 seconds. That it's like a dumpster with legs. And in the words of the collectibles, the action figures of Star Wars, it's the most valuable collectible, you know, because I think they made just like 1,000 of these dumpsters doll action figures,
I just
and
need to check. I just need to check because I think I actually. Are you talking about a Gonk droid?
yeah, that's it.
Okay,
It's the
great.
most rare collectible of all Star Wars toys, you know. Kathy will be this, but
So
she's not a
you
dumpster.
put her on this big board.
She's a teacher. Yeah,
I can't stop him, folks. He does whatever he
yeah.
wants. He's a madman.
He always telling me to go to sleep, but I can't. When these ideas come, they must manifest somehow, you know.
And with that, that's the end of this issue. Is there anything else you guys would like to talk about from issue 31, or we start talking about 32 a little?
Yeah.
Let's
I'm going to pour
let's
myself a
do it.
drink. Let's talk about 32.
Yeah.
Okay. So while Kyle goes and does that, I will do all of the boring stuff, which is to say that Radiant Black issue 32 is out on March 26, which is 3 weeks away. FOC was today, so if you haven't pre-ordered, head to your comic shop probably first thing tomorrow or in the next couple of days, see if they can get you a copy. If not, we should print over and there should hopefully be stock, but you know, we can't guarantee something if you don't get an order in ahead of FOC. Kyle, we've put out a couple of previews in different forms for this. Do you want to talk about some of that?
Yeah, I we've got some early pages we can show, but you know what I was thinking might be fun to kick this off. We've got a little bit of a different way of showing off an issue 20, or actually 32 tease, I thought maybe...
Hey, Radiant Black here. The rebuild continues next month with issue 32, where we've got more murders, more terrible dating. Hey, Radiant Black here. The rebuild continues next month with issue 32, where we've got more murders, more terrible dating, more reasons to hate noise-canceling headphones, and have I mentioned lately how much the post office absolutely sucks? Also, who's this? All that and more as the best Radiant Black keeps trying to be awesome despite Chicago totally not appreciating it. Pre-order issue 32 with your local comic store today. On sale March 26th.
Who was that lovely voice, Kyle?
Well, that lovely voice, my friends, is none other than this guy who I might actually have loaded up here. Maybe? No. Where is it? We can edit all this out, right?
No, we're live on the internet.
Oh, okay. Well, this is Mr. Will Friedle. This is the photo that we took at our signing this weekend when Michael messaged and said, how was/is the signing going? And so Will and I sent this back. And Michael, you have yet to meet.
I've never met him, somehow. I've been to truly a half dozen American conventions, and they just have never overlapped with the ones that he is at.
Yeah. But yes, that voice you hear is indeed Will. And it's a fun new thing we're doing. We're going to be making these little teaser videos ahead of every issue. Will's even recorded some cool alts for on sale date. So you'll see those. You'll see each one again with slightly different audio, timed for then the week that the issue goes on sale. So again, this is part of our kind of attempt to, raise a bit more awareness around everything we're doing. So when you see this stuff, please feel free to share it around. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube primarily here with all this stuff. And we're not just stopping there, but we'll get to this in a few minutes. Michael, I was thinking maybe as an exclusive.
You didn't tell me about this.
We could give the live viewers a sneak peek at our first Rogue Sun promo video, voiced by the ever amazing Johnny Young Bosch.
I think now that you've said that, we sort of have to, right?
I think so too. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to bring that up?
Well, no, we can talk.
We'll talk about that
first.
later. Okay,
Yeah.
Fair enough. We'll save that for the end. Keep watching. Issue 32. I mean, as you guys saw, there's more dating. There's some action. There's a whole new character with a sick ass costume. What can you guys tease from issue 32?
Issue 32
Eduardo, what's your
is issue
favorite?
31 on drugs, you know?
That's fair.
It's everything. It's maxed out, you know, multiplied. So I had a lot more fun doing issue 32 than issue 31, and I had fun on issue 31, and I'm having even more fun on issue 33. You know.
Well,
If this
every
don't know how
continues,
these guys
imagine
can
how
do
much fun
this.
he'll have by
Yeah,
issue
yeah.
35.
I'll be depressed by issue 35, by issue 36. You know.
Well, once you read the script, you will be.
So issue 32, I mean, gosh, I really don't want to spoil anything. So all I'll say from my end is I really feel like all of our wonderful collaborators somehow leveled up in the 3 days between finishing issue 31 and starting issue 32. Like, Eduardo's always amazing. Rod Fernandez, who's our great new series colorist, I love his work on issue 31. And then he started turning in pages for issue 32, and it was almost like he was a whole new colorist. He's doing some insane work. I cannot wait for people to get to see it.
Eduardo drew literally my favorite Radiant Black panel of all time. Eduardo knows the one.
I don't. Is there a way you can tell me without telling everybody?
Yeah, it's the phone screen.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough.
And that's all we're telling them, Eduardo. We're not spoiling the gag.
The phone screen. Let's
But when
see
people
how
see the
many
phone
people will
screen,
catch it up, right? The reference.
oh, everyone
Yeah.
will catch it. It's that's not the issue. I just don't want anyone to be. I want them to experience it because it's on a page turn as well.
All right. And also, I should mention, like, Letter Rebecca Carey is doing incredible work again, killing it. And Kyle and Joe knocked the script out of the park. Things are getting, it's different, right? Like, things are changing in the wake of the Catalyst War in new and exciting ways.
And I'm also loving the Marshall and Eva dynamic. I'm
Yeah,
loving.
it's a lot of fun. I was gonna say I don't remember whose idea that was, but that would be a lie. Fully, that was my idea, and I would love to take
Oh,
credit for it because it was
congratulations,
great.
Michael. That was amazing.
I think it was across two separate emails. I think it was Marshall should have a roommate when we come back, and then it was wait, hold on. What if ... and good decision, Michael. That was fun. Kyle and Joe
Yeah,
killing that.
Amazing.
And we haven't even gotten into much with her and that dynamic yet. But my favorite joke so far is going to be actually in issue 33, and it's a sight joke that involves where Eva's at, literally, for a very specific moment in the adventure of issue 33.
Yes, we will talk more about that as we get closer to that issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else
And
you
the
guys would like
greatest,
to
the Radiant
tease?
Black idea I already had in my life it would be in issue 33, but Michael didn't let it, you know.
The designs will be in the hardcover. Yes, there were designs. That's how much Eduardo believed in this one.
It was just logistically not a solvable problem. Is the thing. We did not have enough space to get into it,
Yeah.
but
You're
we
not
will
a
definitely
tokusatsu
put the
fan, Michael. You're not.
we'll
You're
definitely put the pictures in the hardcover one day, many years from now. Yeah.
No, I think Michael. How about I promised some people some preview pages, so why don't we show
Yeah.
a couple pages here? Do you got them? Or do you want me to get them?
No, I thought you had them. You sounded like
Oh.
you had them.
I didn't. What pages are we showing?
I believe they start with Marshall on the train. Are the pages that we've shown?
Cool. All right, let's take a look here. So this is page, I believe, page 4.
3 or
issue
4,
number
yeah,
32.
something like that. There's just, for no exciting reason, there's just a scene before it that made less sense to be the preview that we put out.
Yeah. So this is Kieran reaching out to Marshall.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about this when we break down this issue, but when Marshall asks him to say something only Kieran would know, and Kieran replies, "You once said that the most underrated superhero team was the Burger King Kids Club. Just get over here." I'm not kidding when I say that was literally one of a dozen jokes that
A dozen is fully underselling it.
Yeah, these were a Joe Clark special.
Yes.
And they're all delightful. So we might read the other ones out on the next live stream.
I
Radiant
think
Black
there are
live stream
also
for
a few of
issue
those
32.
that we legally can't share, but we'll pick a few that are safe.
Yeah, that's a that's a valid point.
Yeah.
But from here, Marshall's a good boy and takes the meeting, which leads to his assessment of their seemingly cliched actions of scoping out a subject from a white windowless van. And this leads to maybe one of the lines of the issue, courtesy of Eduardo, when Radiant Black asks what exactly they're doing, if they're infringing First Amendment rights and slaying some Candy Crush. the Franklin Group soldier there responds that he's actually playing. He's remote play Helldivers. He's playing Helldivers remote
Make
play,
the salute.
and
Super Earth salute.
Radiant Black can't believe that he's able to do this for democracy, and he's getting paid for it. So the for democracy in particular was a welcome addition from Eduardo. I sent it to the Circle guys, Ryan, Bill, and TJ, and they very much enjoyed
Cool.
it. So I appreciate the authenticity.
You can't talk about Helldivers without talking about democracy in the same page. You know?
All right, from that brings us to a bit more with Kieran and Radiant Black as we elaborate on the post dead body in the motel situation of issue 31 and how that has started to morph and be co-opted by some of these borderline nefarious, I guess would be a way of describing them at this point. Organizations, groups, who now believe there is much, they believe what they believe about Radiant Black and the donut world, and what exactly it's going to mean for here. And now they seem to know that the guy who died in issue 31 is actually from over there. So what that's going to morph into in this issue alone, much less subsequent issues, is, that's really just the beginning here.
The world is getting complicated.
Is.
So please make sure you pre-order your copy of this issue. If you can, tell your comic shop you want to pick it up. If it's too late for you to get this one, tell them about issue 33, because that's only a month after issue 32.
Yep.
With that, Kyle, do you want to maybe show a Rogue Sun preview before we wrap up?
We could do that. I thought we should probably take a few questions as well. So do we want to... We'll ask the chat. Do you want to do questions first, or do you want to see the Rogue Sun preview first?
It's going to take them a second. How about I make a pitch? We will play that we'll play the preview right now while people send us some questions, and then we can start answering some questions once it's done.
That works for me.
Great.
All right, here we go. So this is our new... this is our upcoming promo for Rogue Sun 25. This will be going live 1 week from today. So it's timed for Rogue Sun 25's on sale date.
Hey, I'm Rogue Sun, New Orleans' favorite superhero. This week, sibling rivalry takes on a whole new meaning when my half-sister finds a second sunstone and becomes her own Rogue Sun. Plus, who's noxious? And why does his smoke look so damn cool? Oh, and when am I gonna get to use my new... There it is. It's a new dawn for Rogue Sun, and you're not gonna want to miss any of it. Grab Rogue Sun 25, lighting up comic stores this Wednesday.
That's cool.
There we go. Will Friedle and Johnny Young Bosch. Can't get much better than that.
Have they ever worked together?
I'm not sure, but I showed Will, or I played some of Johnny's audio for Will, and Will loves Johnny, and so they definitely know each other, but I don't know if they've ever been on a show together. Yeah.
No. We'll have to do a supermassive animated special and get them to first time together.
That sounds like a plan.
Don't give this kind of ideas, Michael, please.
Eduardo, they have those ideas without me. Trust me.
It was already hard to do an animation with just 2 characters. Imagine with the Massiverse.
Yeah. I can see some questions that I'll sort of throw to the thing. Kyle, if you want to highlight any that you see as well. I saw one here I don't see. Oh, from Noah. Will we see the return of merch along with new issues of Radiant Black? Not a new thing every month like we were doing. But, yeah, occasionally, I think, when we've got, good stuff, cool stuff we want to do, we will definitely pop new stuff up on the Threadless or wherever. It's just it's solely a time thing for us.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right, we'll answer. I've got this one here.
Yeah.
I've been reading Radiant Black and Trade. Why should I start reading month to month with 31? Well, there's a couple different answers for that. The first is like, I mean, look, first and foremost, like, if you're a trade reader, that's just the way that you prefer reading comics. Like that, I totally understand that. I read mostly in trade these days on a lot of things. But if you're looking for the best way to support the book, and you are a monthly comics reader, then buying Radiant Black monthly is the absolute best way to support it. And the simple reason of many, but the simplest reason is because it's the first version that comes out of the story, which means it's the version that, in a lot of ways, we live and die by from an ordering standpoint, from a sales standpoint, and then ultimately from a royalty standpoint. So it's the book and the version of the story that means the most for the creative team. It's also what helps to make the book sustainable. Like it's what helps us not only directly when you're ordering the book and buying it every month as a floppy, especially from your local comic store, but also indirectly because it's showing a level of confidence and support for the title to your comic retailer. And the more awareness that retailers have about customers who like our stuff, the better, because that gives retailers a better gauge of level of interest. And they might order a few more copies for their store, which benefits not only us, but the possibility and likelihood that new readers will find the book. So it's, like I said, I don't want to like say one way of buying a comic is superior than another. Like there are certain things I still read monthly. There are things I read only in trade. But from the pure standpoint of like the best way to support us, the creators, and the longevity of the title, especially Radiant Black and Rogue Sun, buying it monthly is the best direct way to do that.
Yeah, that's a great selfless reason. But if I can give a great selfish reason, we're doing a bunch of cool stuff, and if you wait for the trade, someone might spoil it for you on Twitter.
Well, there's also things that we do in the back matter that we don't collect in trade either. So Michael does a letters column every month now. We do really cool different backups sometimes. Some of them we've collected in trade, but not all of them. And we're going to be doing some more stuff coming up here that is going to be monthly, comic, one of these version or exclusive, I should say. So yeah, all reasons to snag it if that's your thing.
I think we can say, Kyle.
I would also point out that Radiant Black it's a very multimedia comic, and Kyle and Michael and the guys are always doing things that come with the issues that if you are not following monthly, you will kind of miss some of these events, like live events on the comic, like the animation that came out with issues. What was it?
15.
15.
15, the vote, all these things. When you go only through trade paperbacks, you will kind of miss this part of the community. But I also understand that some people prefer just to read the trades.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle, I've got a question here in chat from Jumkit, JMCT. I'm going to read it as Jumkit. Can we know if Satomi is showing up anytime soon? And I feel like what we can say is we know where she is. We know what she's up to. She won't be gone forever, right?
Yes, she also appears on the issue 36B cover, the last cover of Ribaldo.
Ricardo.
What is his first name? Ricardo Ribaldo's amazing set of 6 interlocking covers. So she's on the last cover along with Shift. So yes, you will be seeing Satomi very soon, and the dynamic between Satomi, Marshall, and some of the others maybe a little bit different than you're expecting based on where you last saw her 5 months earlier.
Yeah. Just Owens has said, more Marshall School of Business, let's go. There is a brand new Marshall School of Business in Radiant Black 32.
And actually, that's a really great tee up to a nice shout out. The writer and drawer, the cartoonist of that Marshall School of Business is Chris Pierce, who is perhaps better known as Comic Tropes on YouTube. So Chris, who's been a big supporter of Radiant Black from the get go, I saw some of his work and asked if he'd ever have any interest in doing a Marshall School of Business. So he is doing our first one back here in issue 32, and it's colored by our No One collaborator, Mark Englert, and then lettered by the always amazing Becca. So it's a fun story. I think I don't know if this is Chris's first published work or not, but it's a fun one and definitely a really fun way to kick this series of backups back off.
Yeah, absolutely. What else have we got here?
Let's see. Oh, I've got one here.
Great.
There was a question about
nice.
why Kathy wasn't at the funeral. I don't know. You guys can try to guess what happened to Kathy while on the funeral.
Well, before we get to Kathy, any updates on how the audiobook is coming along? Audiobook is going really well. We are currently in the midst of recording. So we've recorded a bunch of actors for some different parts. I'm scheduling our time with Will and Ryder coming up to record the bulk of Nathan and Marshall. We're still targeting, I don't know that we'll make May, but that's still kind of our blue sky version here. But I actually have something if you all want to hear a sneak preview here. I have a line that we recorded from Melissa Navia as Eva. Full disclosure, this is actually a line eagle-eyed listeners. No, what's the comp?
Do eagles have good ears?
I don't know. Golden retriever eared listeners.
That can't be it.
German shepherd eared listeners. That works. May recognize this as a line from issue 7. So full disclosure, I did record Beyond Volume 1 with Melissa just because we were on a soundstage that we booked in New York, and it just made sense to grab some other stuff for
And Eva
reasons.
has what, 2 lines of dialogue in issue 5?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here, this is a nice take here. Oh no, I have to share it as a tab. Hold on, let me see if I can.
If you can do this without spoiling anything on that you have open on your computer, Kyle.
We're gonna try.
Great. Good luck, everybody.
Right? There we go. All right, we're good to go. Here we go. All right.
Oh my God, are you actually an idiot? I hope, because otherwise we should get you to a hospital like 10 minutes ago. Portals, teleporting, it's draining, man. I jumped us from Sydney to Chicago and then Tokyo. 2 minutes later? Come on, that's insane.
There we go.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Right?
That's a line from the comic book, but that's a real lady. What's up with that? Nuts.
So this is not what I wanted. This is not what I wanted to say. We're not confirming Volume 2. I'm saying that we recorded extra material because it was easy to grab, and Melissa was there, and she has like 2 lines in Volume 1. So we'll see. Whether it's a Volume 2 or something else, stay tuned. Ryan Sidoti, who's in our background here, is reminding me, Michael. So we had some super chats here on YouTube. Yeah, which yeah, I see them, Ryan. For unfortunately, they're not showing up in our Riverside, so we're just gonna read them out loud here. Actually, you know what? I might be able to put them up as text on the feed. I can do that real quick here. Okay, and we'll go ahead and do this, and we will show this now. I know the Radiant Black action figure is not here yet, but if you don't mind a new toy idea, Kyle, my toy idea is Shift's Henshin belt inspired by Common Rider, is what the rest of the comment says. This is from Common Sense.
God, that
That's
would
an
be
awesome
cool.
idea.
Yeah,
What's that?
it would be cool. That would be sick as hell.
Yeah, yeah. The
I
problem
wish
is,
that we
like,
knew someone who knew how to injection mold plastic.
I mean, we do. It's just all of these things. It's not that anything is impossible. It's that some things are much, much harder and require more, if not resources, definitely more time. And that's kind of the thing we're in the shortest supply of right now. So everything is an opportunity cost for us. And we have to weigh that against, the pursuit of doing. We have to weigh that against sometimes it's as simple as like how logical or realistic is this really to be able to pull off, because toys are really expensive to do, and then it's weighing it with like, well, how important is it compared with all the other stuff that we have to hit deadlines for. So that's all to say, if someone threw enough money at us, we would absolutely find a way to make amazing action figures.
Yeah. Listen, if Jim Mattel sends us an email next week and is like, "Hey, can you
or
guys
even his brother Bobby,
any of the Mattel family, if they were like, "Hey, can you give us like 12 action figures, 3 roleplay things, and a big robot?" We'd be like, "Yes, here's the email, here's all the designs, go nuts." Until that happens, probably not going to happen in the near future, right?
right?
Yeah. But Jim Mattel, if you are watching, fully send us an email.
Fully. All right, so our next one here comes again, super chat once again from Common Sense, and this one is, Kyle, would you like the Radiants to have a crossover with number 1 Sentai Gozinger? Gozinger also has holes in their chest, just like the Radiants. Sure. In this hypothetical thought experiment, that would be fun. Yeah.
This is a show that I would love to tell you about off air at some point, Kyle, because they're doing some nuts stuff. This is the currently airing season of Super Sentai.
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, you guys have told me a little bit.
They're like the new Power
about
Rangers.
Yeah, well, boy, howdy, I wish I could answer that without causing diplomatic trouble in multiple countries. Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
All right, one more super chat from Common Sense. I really enjoyed the Rogue Sun recap. Infernal Girl Red is next. Who do you think is the best voice actress for Cassia? Well, Michael, do you want to take the first part of that?
Yeah, Kyle the other day messaged me and was like, should we do a story so far for Cassia? And I said, we have one. It's Inferno Girl Red Book 1, a 120-page recap of everything that's happened for Cassia so far. We haven't, we're still sorting out some of the finer details of when exactly Inferno Girl Red will be back on your stands. We're putting the finishing touches on that book right now. And once we've done that, we will sort of be working out, what promotional stuff we'll be doing to support that relaunch and all of that. I don't know who would be right for Cassia yet.
Yeah, full disclosure, that's one that we have not, we haven't locked in place yet. So I've had a few ideas, but yeah, no, we don't have that one. We don't have Cassia decided. Look what you've done, Eduardo. Gonna be honest, at first I thought the shoe was connected to no one, and that's how we were going to figure out who no one is. No, as much as I love the stories within stories, it would go against our primary edict of accessibility for the universe if we were to reveal no one's actual identity in an issue of Radiant Black.
with a photo from an alternate
With a
timeline.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
With a podcast episode also.
Oh boy! All right, and with that, guys, I think. Can you please make a villain in a Marvel's Rhino-esque suit but a possum instead of a rhino, and he can just shoot? Look at what you people have done. Eduardo's going to design that before he goes to sleep tonight, and
That's
then Kyle's
absolutely
going to
gonna
write it
happen.
into an issue.
He will
Yeah.
not shoot possums. He will shoot like, what's the name of the secretion that possums expelled? That's
Oh no.
that's
No
what he's
one
going to
knows,
do.
Eduardo,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you're going to look it up. Oh boy. Okay. I think that is a sign that we have reached the end of this episode.
I think so.
So
How-
Radiant.
one last question, just
Yeah.
how possums they play dead, right? When they feel threatened. How do you know if you killed 900 possums or if they are just pretending?
Well, it's like
That's
the never-ending
the
story.
real
It's a
challenge.
false.
Yeah,
It's a false title. You can never
Yeah.
know for sure
yeah.
that all 900 are dead. That's where they get you. That's what drives you mad. Is
See?
that you'll never actually
They're
know.
dangerous, man.
It's the existential crisis that you didn't know you never wanted to have.
Radiant Black issue 32 is out on March 26th. That's Wednesday, 3 weeks away. I have to do this or else they will keep going forever. We will be back shortly after that issue comes out with another one of these. I don't know if Kyle and or Eduardo will be with us, but some configuration of the creative team will be. Kyle and Eduardo, where can people find you online?
They can find me on Instagram and on Twitter, Eduardo Ferigato, and yeah, Blue Sky, all these new things. Also, I'm trying to get there as well. Threads, please follow me there and follow the Massiverse and the creative team as well. Thank you guys for watching us.
Yeah, I am on Instagram primarily these days, and we're working on the Massiverse Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, so you can pay attention to those spots. And then, as always, our newsletter, our Black Market newsletter, is the best place to get all the latest from us. We just put out a new one today. You can sign up actually at, since it's a Radiant Black podcast, we'll give the Radiant Black link, radiant.black/newsletter, and you can sign up for, it's a free newsletter right there. We're going to be rolling more stuff out in it, some pretty cool new stuff, and some original stuff that we'll be putting out debuting exclusively through the newsletter. So definitely a great time to jump on.
Great. And with that, thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next month.
Awesome. Take care, guys.
See you guys.
Okay, and we should be out. Let me make sure it ended.